Greetings, everyone. My name is Ayman Tarabishi. I am the President and CEO of the International Council for Small Business, ICSB, founded in 1955. Today is a webinar dedicated to the upcoming World Congress in Washington, D.C. in July 22. But before we start, I would like to introduce the chair of the International Council for Small Business and a dear friend of mine, Dr. Winslow Sargent. Dr. Winslow, good afternoon, but around the world, it's also good evening or good morning. Welcome to this webinar.
Well, thank you, Dr. El Tarabishi. It's a pleasure to be here, and greetings to you and your family and loved ones. It's such a great time to be together again, and especially on this occasion where we're going to discuss the upcoming World Congress in 2022. I want to recognize the support of ICSB from our board of directors to all of the members and our partners who work hard to make sure that we're relevant to small businesses and that we make sure that we create an environment where small businesses and entrepreneurs can share in ideas, can come together, and to be at their best. So I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Winslow. Again, greetings from everyone from around the world. We are streaming this also live on Facebook, and we're recording it here. And we'll probably share it in our daily email to our members in 190 plus countries around the world. So we're here for a special occasion. And the occasion is the upcoming ICSB World Congress in Washington, D.C. in July 2022. The theme of the conference, Dr. Winslow Sargent, is the Entrepreneurial Revolution. So as chair of the ICSB board, and also as co-chair of the World Congress here, why don't you start us off with welcoming everybody to the World Congress and talk a little bit about the theme.
Yes, well, welcome. And the theme is apropos to what we hope will happen or what will continue in this quest for small businesses to be at the table, but to also upend the status quo. A few years ago, as part of the top 10 trends, the #1 trend we talked about was the end of the status quo. Well, the end of the status quo continues. And in 2022 in Washington, D.C., we want to welcome ICSB members, partners, everyone to an event. And we want you to participate in this revolution, the entrepreneur revolution, where we're going to discuss what is the next step. In any revolution, it is not just the act that we want change, but it's the continuity. And as you know, Dr. Tarabishi, when you proposed years ago to have a name day for MSMEs or for small businesses at the United Nations, and working with our partners, the government of Argentina, the government of Korea, DESA, ITC, all of the UN agencies, that was only the beginning. And so the revolution continues. And so with this in mind, we look forward to sharing ideas. We're seeing the revolution in terms of how businesses are formed. What COVID-19 has done, it has accelerated the changes in terms of how small businesses interact, how they are paid, how they work, how they employ workers, how the supply chains, how they're funded. And so we're seeing a revolution across the board. And so we're looking forward to making sure that small businesses are at the table, not just spectators, but at the table. And so that's what the theme and that's what the mindset will be. And we want to continue the entrepreneurship revolution with women entrepreneurs, Women-Preneurs, that term that you created and that you latched onto is very relevant, because the revolution will leave no one left behind. Everyone who desires to have a place and who have the wherewithal and the drive to be relevant and to make sure that their voices are heard with regard to entrepreneurship and small business. We welcome you, we embrace you, we need your ideas, we need your voices. And so that's what will take place, and no better place than in Washington, D.C., in the Capitol, on Capitol Hill, to make the voices of small businesses heard. So I'm really looking forward to it, and thank you for the opportunity to have a fruitful discussion today.
Thank you, Dr. Winslow. I like history, as you know. History is a telltale of the future of where we're going here. So let us take everybody back about 3 years ago, and thank a lot of people that has got us to where we are today. So first, let's start with thanking our colleagues and the chair of the ICSB World Congress in Egypt, one of the most magnificent world congresses that ICSB had in historic Egypt in Cairo, and Mr. Ahmed Osman, the immediate past chair of ICSB. He put on a remarkable, actually just an astonishing World Congress. So let's give him a big thank you for Mr. Ahmed Osman for that Congress. He really did it. And his Congress set the stage for what we call is looking into the future. We went all the way back to Egypt, to the history, the rich history of Egypt, but he made it very clear that history is a platform for the future, right? And his Congress and the way he put the Congress together and the speakers he brought together and the events that he held put ICSB in a great stage to move forward with the World Congresses. And we can all remember, we still have pictures, people still send pictures left and right. We're visiting the pyramids, visiting the Egypt Stock Exchange, the gala, just history, memories for a lifetime. Then after that, something small happened. What's that small thing that happened after Egypt? What was that thing called that we try to forget even today?
What is the small thing that happened
right after Egypt that we're still getting immunized for?
well, but after Egypt, after Egypt, we met at the UN, and so we celebrated MSME Day, and then later that year we had the SME World Forum in Macau,
yes,
focusing on fintech. And little did we know, of course, that we would end 2019 and go into the age of COVID-19. And so that has shaken things up a bit, as we say. And but also it has brought things, in the year 2020, when we think of 2020, we think of eyesight, whether you're able to see. The 2020, in the context of eyesight, says, do you see clearly? And so we're seeing things more clearly in 2020. We're seeing more things clearly in terms of how do we interact, how as a society we function, how are the resilient supply chains, if they're resilient, and what does that mean for entrepreneurship? And so these things have come to the fore. And so for entrepreneurs and for small business owners, there is an embracing of challenges. We don't shy away or shrink back from the challenges that are before us. We look to solve, we look to be relevant, we look to solve, because at the center of what we try to do is that we try to help the human condition. And so partnering with the SDGs and partnering with the need to address the impact of COVID-19, small businesses have come to the fore.
Absolutely. We had a magnificent conference in Macau with Stanley O, and he held an absolutely wonderful conference talking about the future of fintech and how it's so important to SMEs. After Cairo and Macau, our destination was clear. We were going to our colleagues and our friends in Paris, France. And we had a theme, we had a very focused theme with Dr. Adnan Malawi, EPAG, and our partners at ESCA, Dean Chavion. And there. And the theme was L'Exposition Universelle de Humane Entrepreneurship. The wording itself was a play on the Universal Exposition of the early 1900s that was held in Paris to celebrate the major innovations Paris and the world was going through. You know, they were building the Eiffel Tower, the metro. There was a lot of things happening around the world. And we wanted to showcase the best of entrepreneurship back then in 2020 in Paris. But unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we had to postpone the Congress to one more year. And that has pushed us all the way to July of 2021, which was just months ago, about 6 months ago in Paris. But it was a remarkable achievement that Dr. Adnan Malawi, EPAC, Dean Bigot, and all the partners in Paris have pulled together. We, ICSB, was the first world organization to ever hold a hybrid Congress in July. We invented what is a hybrid conference in its sense, how we can bring people online and in person together seamlessly to run a World Congress. It was astonishing the amount of work that went into it and the partners that went into it with the EPAC, the technology, trying to figure out the technology. How do we stream? How do we bring people together? How do we register people? How do we get them to move from one place to other under COVID protocols? It was just amazing. So let's give them some time here, Dr. Winslow, and congratulate them.
Yes, yes, of course, yes. We need to recognize Dr. Adnan Malawi and his team for doing an outstanding job, because when many people doubted that the conference would go forward, as we planned along the way, Europe, as you know, was still shut down. Europe was going through its second wave, and there was very much concern as to whether the conference would take place. And so, but yet we were convinced that we could only plan for what we know, but we pressed forward ahead with our partners, and we were able to hit the sweet spot such that by June and July of 2021, Europe was open. And so we held a very successful conference. What we showed along the way is that how to embrace technology, how to embrace these tools that we have to connect each other. I must go back though, is that, you know, during the year 2020, when we couldn't meet in person, one of the things that you championed, President El Tarabishi, was the whole concept of webinars. When the world was paralyzed in terms of what would we do, and now things are being canceled, you embrace the concept of, let's use these tools to connect. And almost every week or every couple of weeks, you got speakers and you focused on events. We were one of the first that focused on supply chains, on the disruption of COVID-19 on supply chains. And so we were relevant. We didn't shrink back because of these things that took place. We embrace and we look for solutions. And that's what the entrepreneur does, look for solutions. And so in Paris, we were recognizing the fact, like you said, that major events took place more than 100 years ago, where the Eiffel Tower, the metro, the age of the Industrial Revolution was taking place, and how will that shape society? And so these are some of the things that we embrace and we recognize, and that's something that we want to build on.
With the connection with Paris also has a historical significance here, because it takes us back to the whole idea of the United States, being it starting out to wanting to become a nation of ideas, a nation of continuing its efforts, both economically, allowing people to start their businesses, allowing for their identity. And the connection between France and the United States was there and was clearly exhibited when I had a conversation with Adnan, and I said at the gala, let's do the transition from to George Washington, which was the first president of the United States. But the idea behind all of this was a simple idea. We are in the midst of a revolution of thought, a revolution of the roles of people play, a revolution of equality, of empathy, of humane entrepreneurship. And Paris set the stage for where we are today. We left Paris very confident that we can do a hybrid conference. We can connect people around the world in person or online equally and give them both quality content, quality connections, allowing them to network, to meet, to exchange. And I think this has been a wonderful experience, right? Tell me more. Tell me what you found in Paris.
What I found in Paris, and yes, there is a direct connection. As part of around that time, Paris saw the change that was taking place within the United States. Of course, we had come out of a civil war. It was a divisive time. It was the end of slavery within the United States. And so Paris, as a gift, they gave us the Statue of Liberty. They recognized in terms of liberty and innovation and freedom what the United States could become. And so that statue was a beacon for those who sought freedom, but also sought new ideas on the shores. And so that has always been a connection in terms of linking Europe, linking what may have called the old world to the new world. And with the inventions, with the foods, with the technology, with the fashion. I mean, the great thing about being in Paris during that time is that when we were there, it was the start of Fashion Week. It was the start of Bastille Day. So we saw, we saw how Paris celebrated their independence, the Bastille Day. And by the time we left, we saw the Tour de France and how the ending of the Tour de France or the finale. And so we saw a mixture of things of how Paris celebrated the human spirit, both in innovation, in entrepreneurship, in fashion, and in athletics, and all across the board. And so we also, for the first time, we had a marketplace. So we had this marketplace where we embrace women entrepreneurs within Europe, within ICSB. Those who were able to make it to Paris, they were able to show their ideas and show their products and show their services. This marketplace was to connect those who sold goods, but also those who wanted to invest. And so it was a coming together, both in hybrid online, but in person. And so it truly was a revolution. So the revolution may be in the United States, but there's a spark, there's a baton that was passed from Paris to the US.
Yes, exceptionally and eloquently well said. So now we're coming to Washington, D.C., right? And the dates are set. Now let's explain it in very simple terms for people that can go to our website and read it, but let's explain it as if we are having coffee together and explain to you how the World Congress will happen. The World Congress dates, official dates, are July 5th to the 8th. So it's that Tuesday all the way to Friday, the 8th. These are the official dates of the Congress. July 4 is Independence Day of Washington, D.C. So what we are expecting, what we are hoping for, is a lot of people start showing up July 2nd, July 3rd, to celebrate with us Independence Day in Washington, D.C. So they get to come, settle down, look at the magnificent fireworks like we saw in Paris with Bastille Day. We get to experience the same thing in Washington, D.C. with Independence Day in Washington, D.C. on the Mall, and looking at the Washington Monument, looking at the Lincoln Memorial, looking at the Independence Day of Washington, and it's going to be spectacular. It's just going to be absolutely magnificent. So we hope people will show up that weekend, celebrate on Monday, July 4th, and then get ready to start the Congress on July 5th. That's as simple as it gets. Be in Washington that weekend, because July 4th is Independence Day. There's going to be a lot of celebrations, a lot of cookouts, a lot of fireworks. It's an experience to have. Don't come alone. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your kids. make a vacation of it. This is the time to make a vacation of it, right? In Washington, D.C. There's a reason to come. That's the logic behind it. Saying this, knowing this now, how does the week play out? How does the week move forward? The idea is the World Congress, that's the name itself, the World Congress, has to be about, the focus is about SMEs, micro businesses, and entrepreneurs, right? That's the focus. That's the topics that we're going to be discussing. But ICSB members are divided up or they represent different groups. There are the researchers. There are the educators. There are the policymakers. There are the practitioners or the consultants. There are the actual entrepreneurs themselves and the small business owners themselves. Some are very advanced in their research and education and teaching and policy, but some are just starting out. This is their first time to go to a Congress. This is the first time they come and showcase. It has to be for everyone. There's a space for everyone. Do you want to add to this, Dr. Winslow?
Yes, I think that you really touched on the importance of that week, of that day. Just to go back a little bit, you talked about we were in Paris for Bastille Day, and then of course the conference was to follow. You also, we also know that MSME Day is the day after the founding of the United Nations on June 26th. So symbolism and days matter. And so now what we'll be doing in Washington, the day after independence, what does that mean for small businesses? What does that mean for the shop owner? What does that mean for those in rural areas who desire to build up their society, who desire to add to the community, to solve some of the problems? And so whether you're a practitioner, whether you're a policymaker, whether you're a researcher, whether you're an educator, whether you're a small business, you're coming together because you're seeing that in unity, that what we see, whether it's the United Nations, whether it's Paris, whether it's in the US, it was the coming together to say that we're one. Out of many, we become one. We become one of purpose. And so that's what we want to do as small business owners, as advocates. We want to come together to support our communities, want to support our societies. We want to add to the vibrant mixture of what takes place. And that's what we'll have happen. And that's will be the discussion that will take place during this week in Capitol Hill.
We started something last year because of COVID-19, and something that is in our DNA as ICSB, which is humane entrepreneurship. We cannot just talk about it unless we practice it. And last year we started it, and we committed to it, and we tested it out, and we realized that the world has changed. And now it is not just a matter of just talking about it, but actually putting it in practice. And this again will apply to Washington, D.C. this year. If you are a mom and have kids, if you're a dad and you want to bring your kids as well, right? And it's complicated because you want to do a vacation, but you have a conference and you have events and you have things happening here. Our World Congress will be kid-friendly. We'll figure it out. There are certain things we can do to help facilitate it here. There are certain things that we can explain to you, showcase to you, help you with this. So it's not a burden. It's actually welcome. It takes a village to raise kids. It takes a village to help support each other. And our Congress will have that tone. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out, right? And we've done it in Paris, and Adnan was very welcoming, and his team was very welcoming. To some people came with their 2-month-old baby and a couple of kids, and a 10-year-old kid that stole the show with his idea, right? So we'll make it happen. That's something important that we want to continue with the ICSB World Congress. We're in July. It's vacation time for a lot of people. Why differentiate? Why can't it be complementary? You want to say something about this, Winslow?
Yes. Oh, yes. We recognize that for small businesses to thrive, it's part of an ecosystem, and an ecosystem is alive. That we don't carve up ourselves purely as business owners or educators. We're partners, we're mothers, we're dads, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're links within a chain. And that chain is stronger when we're all working together and pulling together. So that said, we want to create an environment where everyone feels valued and welcome. And in Washington, D.C., the city itself, there are the museums. And the great thing about the Smithsonian is that they're free. So there are a host of museums. There are lots of
They
things
have
to do.
dinosaurs. They have dinosaurs.
There are
And
lots of things
there's
to
dinosaurs.
do. Go on, Dr. Terabici, tell us about the dinosaurs.
There's a lot of dinosaurs there, and then there's the space museum where there's a lot of rockets. So the message is clear. It is family friendly, right? So now you know, 4th of July, the World Congress is a week long. There's a lot of things happening in Washington, D.C. during that period of time, right? Talk with your significant other, talk with your husband and wife, and say, hey, they're saying, we'll figure it out together. That's the plan. So then we have the week. So how does the week work? The week basically every day has different programs happening, right? It's like an adventure. Every day there's different programs happening, right? But the programs are divided into what you see on the website here. And we'll explain it to you in a way where it makes a lot of sense. We have the Academy. The Academy is designed for students, undergraduate students and MBA students to come for a week-long experience, intensive experience in George Washington University, where I'm deputy chair of the Department of Management, and they are hosting us for the academic version of the Congress, right? We're gonna have students from around the world to come for the Academy. They're gonna be in the classrooms, they're gonna do site visits, they're gonna go meet people, they're gonna go network people. The Academy is for the students. If you are a faculty member and you wanna bring students, this is a great place to bring because we have a program designed for them. If you wanna come to the Academy and learn about the lectures and the things that we are teaching, a perfect place to come. If you want to support us with the Academy by lecturing or giving workshops, that's a great place to be. We have what we call our usual universities that come every year and have a strong presence here. But something interesting about the Academy this year, we're in discussion with George Washington University to have dorm rooms available for students. So we know it's expensive and Washington is expensive, but we will have available some dorm rooms for the Academy students. And they get to experience Washington, D.C. as a student. So we encourage you all, if you're interested in the Academy, to come to this, right? Winslow, do you want to say something about this?
Oh, yes. And so we talk about inclusiveness and we talk about partners and children and parents. We also want the students. We want the young adult. We want them to feel just as much as part of this conference. And that's why to get the student experience, to work with students from many colleges who are in the area, who are all within walking distance, to live like a student and to go on campus and to embrace all the things that come along with a college campus and with entrepreneurs, the market of ideas. And so this is a great place to come for those who are budding college students or those who have finished, looking at graduate school or postdocs. There are many opportunities to come and to participate in this revolution.
So we also have something here that started out last year in Paris. It's the Academy Cup. So the students will actually be competing for a cup, right? And so Dr. Katia Passerini and her team won the cup last year. And I actually have a team called the Dragons, the Global Dragons. And we didn't do so well, but it's okay. The Dragons are making a comeback this year. So and then there is Winslow's team, which is called, what's your team called? Because
we were the Badgers.
Yeah, okay, what kind of name is that? But okay, so that's it. So now you understand the Academy. The Academy is for the students. It's an incredible event. We are hoping about 200 students will show up to the Academy. So we invite you all to come. The information is here. Get in touch with us if you're interested in joining us in the Academy. Now let's switch to the other group. The other group is what we call the academics, the researchers, right? That is typically what the ICSB World Congress did every year, is the academic part or the research part. It doesn't change. We've been doing it now for over 50 years and we could continue to doing it. So on the website, we have the call for papers, the next steps on how to join, the guidelines and the deadlines, which I want to explain to you here. The guidelines and the deadlines are very clear on the dates. You have till April 1st to submit your paper or workshop. Then we will start doing rolling acceptances right away until May 1st, and then we close it. We have tied the call for papers to our GISP journal. The best ones get published right away into our GISP journal, which was a huge success in Paris. So academically, we will have what we typically ICSB is known for. It's academic program in terms of research, in terms of papers and presenting. And your papers, accepted papers to the Congress, will be accepted into our journal after they are reviewed, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. It's win for the world because they get knowledge, you get to present it at the World Congress, and you get a publication out of it as well, right? It is rigorous, it is blind review, accepting papers to the World Congress, and we want the best of the world. So that is for the academics and the researchers. And it's probably going to happen on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, a mix of it, right? And George Washington University School of Business will host us for the academic version. Now we get to the other part, right? The other part is, it is the marketplace, right? The marketplace is basically about showcasing the best of Washington, right? And showcasing the best of the presentations that we are doing here. Winslow, do you want to share something?
Well, in terms of the marketplace, I think
yes.
I think is very, very important. I also want to just touch on the fact that the educational piece is very, very important, because when you propose ideas, they need to be rigorously tested, right? And so that's why it's important for those who want to come and share your ideas and share your research. It's so important, because when we talk to policymakers, we need to come with substance, and it's your research that allows us to share in terms of where small businesses are and what do they need and how to make sure that the system works for everyone. And so your research is very, very important. The marketplace is extremely important, because it's in the marketplace. That's where the merchant, that's where the buyer, that's where the seller, that's where the funder comes together to see what's taking place. And so in Paris, we had for the first time a marketplace, and it was extremely successful. Especially seeing women entrepreneurs, those who would normally sell in the market, in the real market, in the fruit markets with their stalls. Now they had a place that they could come to. And so we moved the model of the physical marketplace both online as a hybrid model. And that's key, because in this age of COVID-19, those that didn't have access to broadband, those that didn't have access to being face-to-face with their customers, they suffered. And so we created a marketplace to help to have those discussions so that they can share with us what can be done or what should be done to help this e-commerce and to help those who are merchants get access to their customers.
So we talked about the academy, we talked about the research, and we talked about presenting your papers there, and we talked about small businesses or startups coming to showcase the marketplace. Now I want to talk about the Women-Preneurs. But before I do this, I'm going to ask you, Dr. Winslow, to talk about Women-Preneurs, the idea, the spirit, and the motivation behind it.
Well, when you think of Women-Preneurs, they're not just small businesses, but they're core businesses. when you think of the bedrock of society, the first teacher is a woman, right? When we're babies, the first voice or the first teacher is a woman. The one that supports the family and the one that's there on a day-to-day is the woman. And so when you think of half of the population are made up of women, but yet when we look at the numbers in terms of how many businesses that are being led by women, the numbers are growing. But when we think of the support, the lack of support, the lack of funding, but also what are some of the infrastructures that would be needed? Childcare, there are many things that are needed to support women entrepreneurs. And once we do that, then we make our society stronger. We make for more resilient supply chain. And so that's why it is not something that is a nice to have. It is actually a must have. Because when we think of the SDG 17, when we think of we want to eliminate no poverty, we want to have no poverty, we want to have quality education, good health and well-being. These are all encapsulated in support of women entrepreneurs, womenpreneurs. And so that's why this is such a fundamental a foundation of ICSB, that going forward, we have made sure that this is a priority.
Yep. Thank you. Winslow, talk a little bit about the experience you had with Womenpreneurs in Paris.
Well, with Womenpreneurs in Paris, like I said, it was such a good thing to see. Now these were businesses that were actually in the marketplace and they were there in person. And so I got a chance to go around the room and talk to many womenpreneurs and to hear their stories and to see their products and to see their ideas. And I could see the passion. These were folks who this is not just a hobby. This is a calling. They want to do good, and they are doing good. And so I looked at the products, I looked at the services, I looked at the ideas. And this is something that we must get behind, because, for each one of us, we have mothers or aunties or sisters or nieces or those who we support that are women. And for us to be true to opportunity, we have to support these women these women entrepreneurs. And so that's what I saw in Paris. And it became more evident in terms of the people that we saw and who had great ideas. And so that's why I'm so excited moving forward in terms of what we're going to do in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. 1 second, there's an audio. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes.
There's no echo.
There's no echo.
Okay, great. We now want to focus on what is the program for womenpreneurs in Washington,
But you're not
DC.
looking at the camera though, but that's okay.
I know. Let me switch it here a little bit. 1 second. Something happened with the video here. Okay, is that better now? Okay. Let me share the video here. Is this better now?
This is, yes, you're fine. I hear you just right.
Okay, good. So now you can see me here. Is the video working here? Yep. Okay. Is this better now? Okay, wonderful. Let me share the screen real quick here to showcase the conference here. 1 second. Okay. Here you go. Womenpreneurs. Let me share it here. Okay. Do you see the video now, Winslow?
I see the
Womenpreneurs?
I see the ICSB World Congress screen where you where you're showing the woman entrepreneur, the
Women-
womanpreneurs
Yes,
screen.
very good.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah. So here is the Women-Preneurs conference program. And here is basically what we have. We have in-person and online for the World Congress. And we have basically different programs. We advance womenpreneurs, advance people that are in a little bit further stage in their companies and in their programs. We have grow if you want to grow your business, or a combination of both. If you are interested in the Womenpreneurs as an attendee, as a mentor, as a speaker, or as a sponsor, all the information is available on the site. Okay, so everything is available on the site. So we welcome you all to look at this, right? And look at the different programs. So as I mentioned to you earlier, we're going to start on Sunday because the 4th of July is Monday. So we're going to start bringing people together on a Sunday to start talking. And then we have Monday, we celebrate 4th of July in Washington, D.C. And then we get Tuesday, we start to meet, talk, engage. We're going to probably have events at the World Bank and other organization partners. And then Wednesday, we have more events with the Womenpreneurs. And then Thursday is the big one, which is we hope to go to the World Congress. And finally, Friday is at GW, but also at the gallery, which leads me to the last part of the World Congress. We're in Washington, D.C. As co-chair of the conference, Dr. Winslow Sargent has been working very hard in securing that we, as we did with the United Nations, as we did in other programs around the world here, is part of our program is at the U.S. Congress. Dr. Winslow, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Dr. Terabishi. What we would like to do is to have a day at the U.S. Congress. Everyone knows this building. They see it on television. They know that it's the seat of power within the United States. What we would like to do is to host meetings on Capitol Hill within the U.S. Congress as a show of that ICSB and its agenda is in the halls of power. It's where that what we do and what we're proposing should be considered by all capitals, because small businesses are core to each society. And so by being on Capitol Hill, by bringing together academics and practitioners and small business owners and advocates, and from all across the globe, we send a message, just like being at the UN, to say that small businesses matter. Small businesses are important. Let's embrace them. Let's make sure that laws and regulations are crafted in a way which include small business owners and entrepreneurs, so that they can do what they do best: solve problems and help our common humanity.
Thank you. We talked a lot. Now you know what we're planning for Washington, D.C. And we're looking for partners. We're looking for people to come and support us. We're looking for people to engage with us. It's July 5th to the 8th in Washington, D.C. But we also have a week-long worth of activities, from the Academy to the Marketplace, to the Womenpreneurs, to the U.S. Congress, and more to come. So we invite you all that are in the session today here, to think about it, to discuss it with your university or company or organization, right? And to reach out to us, right? Saying, I'm interested in coming and doing something more. I'm interested in coming and bringing in a delegation, right? So this is for everybody. This ICSB is for everybody here. I want to end with this, and I'll give it to the chair to end it here, and just to give you an idea of why the significance of this conference. Today, 50 years ago, was the invention of the microchip. 50 years ago. The microchip has revolutionized how we do business today. If it wasn't for the microchip, all what we are doing today on Zoom, our computers, all that stuff wouldn't have been able here. Today is basically the open house for the World Congress with the theme of Entrepreneurial Revolution. A chip is so small. It's really, and it's getting smaller and smaller. It's becoming potentially a nanochip right here. But its significance is important, is global. The ICSB World Congress is about a small idea that you can take and to transform the world on. So with that spirit, I want to give it to my colleague, Dr. Winslow Sargent, to give his closing remarks, and then we'll see if there's any questions.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tarabishi. Thank you for arranging this event and teasing the ICSB community about all the great things that will take place that are being planned for them in July 2020. The World Congress is a highlight of what ICSB does in terms of coming together. We understand that there's strength in numbers, that by us coming together, by us being forceful advocates for small businesses, that our voices are heard. And so with this said, we have a conference that is planned for the seat of power within the United States to recognize or to redress our challenges, to share that we don't just come with problems, but we also come with solutions. What COVID-19 has shown us, that our common humanity, what affects someone in Italy or China or South Africa or Brazil or Canada or the Maldives, affects us all. So that's why it's important that we recognize that we're all in this together. And so in light of also the SDGs, where only 8 years or 9 years left to reach the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals, those goals cannot be reached unless you as a small business owner, as a small business practitioner, as an educator, as a researcher, as those who are on the front lines, come together and share your ideas on how to achieve these goals. These goals are noble, but they will not be able to be achieved unless SMEs, MSMEs are front and center. So we're looking forward to your participation. Please reach out to us, share your ideas, submit a paper, be a sponsor, be a partner, be a promoter, be a participator, all of the above. We need you, we embrace you. ICSB is here for you. And on behalf of the ICSB board and all its partners and supporters, we embrace you, we welcome you. Please come to Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Winslow. With that, the chair has invited us all to the World Congress. As co-chair of the World Congress, I invite you to George Washington University as well. We look forward to your participation and engagement. We wish you a very happy continuous day, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much, and great talking to everybody. Thank you, Dr. Winslow.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.